3, 2, 1. Welcome to Digital Voices, where everybody has a story and we like to get to know one another and tell it. Today I have a special friend, rocker, guy in general that I think is super interesting, and I'm happy to have him on the podcast to tell his story. Mr. Geoff Bub, member of the band Jungle Rot and lead guitarist extraordinaire. How you doing, Geoff?
I'm well. You?
Good. Now that I had to restart this since this is our second take, but hey, still getting used to this stuff, brother. So we were talking before I had to reset it real quick about the whole coronavirus and the number of people that are infected versus the shutdown and how that's similar to the flu, but we don't shut down for the flu. And you were trying to tell me some stuff, so we'll start back at that.
Oh, I remember talking when they were just talking, what was that, March 12th, when they shut down all the restaurants and bars?
Yeah.
And I think I posted something on Facebook like, if we all just stood together and said, no, we're not going to do it. If every bar and every restaurant in the entire state of Wisconsin would have said, nah, we're just going to keep going. I mean, what would they have done? You know what I mean? Arrested everybody, written a fine for 300,000 workers. I mean,
behind the scenes, I feel like there's this power struggle that we've been witnessing too, in terms of the extent of presidential powers and the extent of our governor's powers and the separation of state and federal government to a certain extent. And I've been finding that interesting to watch because it really tests our foundations as a country, in terms of our Constitution. Thoughts on that?
No, I guess states seem to be doing it right. I mean,
I agree.
The feds can't really say what a state can do. I mean, what did North Carolina open up now today or yesterday?
Right.
I mean,
today,
it should be
I think.
state by state, I guess, but it just seems like we're just always the last. Are we going to be the last state to open up? May 30th seems so far away.
I agree.
Are we going to be the last state to legalize marijuana? Do we always have to be the last here in Wisconsin? Is that how it's going to be?
Interestingly enough, back in the day with UW-Madison, we used to not be like that. We were on the cutting edge of environmental protection and ecology and a bunch of things, especially in terms of national voice. Back with like Aldo Leopold and some of these really great people that used to be at UW-Madison, but we're talking 100 years ago or whatever. And our recent fucking history in terms of since I've been alive, we've really always bucked the system. We're always the last to, we hold on to digging our heels in as long as possible until we finally have to, It shouldn't be like that. I think we should definitely be more proactive, like you said. How's this affecting, I know you have some little ones. You have 3 altogether, right?
No, 2.
2. And you've been playing teacher and how's that working?
I don't mind it,
Is it fun?
So, the 11-year-old, she can handle everything on her own. She's comfortable on a computer, and for everything for her is pretty much done on a little computer. Whereas my 6-year-old, that's a one-on-one process just to get her attention, but I think it's actually helping her in the fact that, in a classroom, you're distracted, and where here it's just, let's go, we're, stay focused. I want to get this done. She's learning how I approach these things. Like, if the longer we fuck around, the longer it's going to take. Let's get it done so we can play, or,
right.
So you can be doing what you want to do. And she's starting to learn that, maybe we should just do it. Like, I remember asking her, this is really easy. We have it all broke down day to day. We're going to do this packet today. We're going to do this packet tomorrow. Maybe we did that one fast. Do you want to do tomorrow's packet and we can win? And she's kind of like, that means tomorrow I could just skip school? Yeah, if we do today's work, yeah, I'm okay with it. It's been fun to watch her brain kind of click with these. Yeah, we can work harder today and take it easy. Then it's just fun to watch. So
it's rewarding being a parent, and especially for you. You take off sometimes when you're on tour and stuff, and so you're away from the family, and that's got to always be hard. And so when you come back and you have those times and were able to spend with your family like this, it's probably the most time you probably spent with them in one solid chunk.
I mean, every spring I'm usually on the road. So I'm going to be here all year. I don't think we have some shows booked. We had some shows booked in May, obviously got postponed. They're postponed to June. I don't know if they're June or July, but I'm going to be surprised if they happen then. I don't know.
Have you heard anything through your label in terms of an overall approach to how everyone's going to be approaching? Because it takes how long to set up a concert and a tour, you know? So it's not like 8
months.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's a significant amount of time. You can't just set it today and be out tomorrow, typically, you know?
Yes, we're already talking about trying to do stuff next spring and trying to get that all finished now.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a year out. So, I mean, that's typically what a band, I guess, at our level is looking at, a year.
Right.
Now, you get last-minute offers and stuff, but that's usually because a band dropped off or something, and now they're just trying to fill a spot that's already been planned a year in advance. So,
right. You know, speaking of the band, tell me about yourself a little bit. So I know, but, you know, tell our listeners, you're an amazing guitarist to some. To yourself, you're so humble, because you've told me about how, you know, you'll play with others when you're out on tour, and you'll be like, damn, how do you do that? You know, and
I mean, that's just it. I mean, when you sit at home and you're not a musician, I think your perception of what's out there and the talent level, you just don't know. Just like I don't know, like I watch a good football player, you know, it could be, I don't know much about sports, but I don't know if this is going to be a good analogy or not, but there could be a guy that's, you know, the number one college player, and he gets to the NFL and he's like the 31st, you know, he's like awful. You know, I mean, you see so many talented people, and the hard part is that I think the fact that our band is 25 years old now and has been around for so long, and you see these guys that are in opening bands that blow the doors off you. I mean, their skill level is so high. They've spent hours upon hours in their, you know, practicing, and they're so dang good, and they look at a band like us, and we keep it real simple, you know, pretty power chordy. We just try to write catchy songs, and they just don't get it. You know, they just go, wow, I play so much better. And I'm like, yeah, you do, but at the end of the day, at the end of the show, no one walks home remembering your guitar solo that had 4 quintillion notes perfectly played. Right. And they remember mine, which was like holding one note and letting it feed back for a little bit, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, so it does beat me down a little bit too, though, because you realize these kids are so good now. They're so good. I mean, and there's just thousands of them out there. Thousands of them. So, I don't know.
I know. I've always appreciated your music and your style, and cool. I think it resonates with a lot of people, which is why you've been around for so long. You know, you do a lot of touring over in Europe, you do a lot of touring in America. If I had to look on the outside looking in, I think heavier metal, what's your classification?
We're old school death metal.
Okay, so but in Europe, the punk and the death metal are a lot larger scenes than what they are here in the U.S. And that's just my personal opinion.
Really exist in Europe. I mean, there's a couple bands death metal is an American style. You know, it started in Florida with the Deicide, Obituary, Morbid Angel. Those are kind of like some of the starts of that. You know, and it's just got that slow, more mid-paced metal, whereas Europe was all in the early 80s. Bands like Creator, Sodom and Destruction, they were thrashy, really fast, you know, pushing the limits on speed. And but those bands influenced us too. I mean, we have a lot of those elements in our band. But so I think death metal bands, especially, you know, like the bands I mentioned, I mean, now in the year 2020, we're the only ones left. Jungle Rot, Obituary, you know, that have that sound. I mean, and we don't sound like Obituary, but I guess we kind of fall into that classification. But when we go to Europe, they're not, you know, it's something desirable, you know, and it's something that breaks it up, because those festivals over there, like we did last year, it's always the same bands, you know, it's those bands play every year. So it's what they've gotten their whole lives. they see those same bands, and then finally they can get an American band like us out there and with that little different style, and they just eat it up, man. They love that shit.
Yeah.
Just like I mean, I love it when those bands come here, you know, because we're used to what we're used to, and
right.
It just sucks that there's not going to be anything like that going on all year. I really don't think there's going to be any touring for anybody this year.
What do you think you guys can fill it with? Obviously, it's hard for artists to sit still. What?
Oh yeah, we're writing another album, so we're using the
so
time.
Creative periods then. Okay.
Yeah, we got to keep moving. I mean, we have a plan. We want to hit the studio this winter. You know, we just keep going regardless. It's just that we're not touring. We're not making any money.
Right. Yeah, well, I hope for the sake of everyone that we can get a handle on this, both mentally as well as realistically. I mean, people have responded in a way, I mean, not in a rational way. If we were 100% rational, we wouldn't have stockpiled toilet paper and, you know, done some of the crazy things that you've been seeing.
Weirdest damn thing ever.
I would have never have thought that. I mean, you can't feed yourself with a log, you know, so I don't get it, but
I actually thought it was going to be worse. You know, I'm pretty happy with how this is. You know, there's plenty of food. I go to the store, you know, and buy food. I thought it was going to be worse when this first started. I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big guy. Not eating, I get cranky.
Oh my God. You know, I'm cooking some nice meals. I'm here all day. My girlfriend works, you know, so, you know, we have a decent lunch usually, and I cook a pretty decent rounded meal at least 5 nights a week, you know, so we're eating like kings over here. And I'm definitely putting on some weight, man. I got to work on that.
So what do you think your fans would say, Mr. Rocker and Mr. Dad? I love that. I take a look at
tons of us out there.
Man.
On the road, you know, so if on any given tour you got 4 or 5 bands, you know, all day long, someone's, you know, FaceTiming their kids. I mean, you see it all day long. We're all doing it, man. There's only a couple of musicians out there that are single guys and just go, you know.
That's the hidden part that you don't know about, right?
Yeah.
And I think to you, knowing you the way that I do, family is more important to you than anything else. I mean,
very important, yes. I mean, obviously I'm putting the band before the family in certain cases. I mean, I've missed my daughter's birthday 3 years in a row now.
Oh.
That's tough to do, but it's fun because I remember last year we played the Stonehenge Festival in the Netherlands. I couldn't tell you the name of the city. I couldn't even pronounce it if I wanted to. But, you know, us as a band, we were saying happy birthday to her. It was, you know,
right.
You do what we can do, you know, but we threw the party.
She understands. She's 11, you said, right?
No. This is my 6-year-old.
Oh, the 6-year-old. Okay. Well,
yeah, her birthday's in July, and it's like 9 times out of 10 we're doing something, you know, at that time. The year, so it's
but those
hard
are
on me.
Still memories that you're making for her, and you still make her a part of it. So how amazing is that? Saying happy birthday from the Netherlands, you said?
Exactly. She remembers. We talk about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, how cool is that? That's just one of those.
You just got to keep moving, but you know that's an instance where I'm not putting the family first, but you know it's just part of the job, you know.
You have to have your finances in place. You have to have your career in place. Without that, the family doesn't succeed and you can't provide. So I don't necessarily think it's necessarily not putting the family first. I think it's in the long run, you still are, because you have to do that.
It still eats me up though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I totally get you, brother. I totally get you.
Looks, unless things really, really change really fast. This year.
Well, I can't wait until she's old enough and she can go out on tour with you.
Oh, me neither. I can't. I mean, they've never even seen me perform yet. You know, there's just not been an opportunity. You know, when we're on the road touring, you know, we're really not doing any local shows. I mean, what has it been, 8 years since we played Sheboygan? You know, a bar gig. And I don't even know if I'd want to bring them to a bar gig. Right. I'd like to play like Brat Days or something and then bring them to Brat Days.
Right.
But is Brat Days happening this year? I don't even know.
No. Yeah, I know the organizers for that, and so I've heard they're not going to be doing Brat Days this year. I don't
surprise me one bit.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, unless something's changed that I don't know about, or maybe but because the lockdown is, you know, even after we're free, they still don't want us to really, you know, they want us to continue to social distance
Yeah.
As this thing, we're slowing the spread. We're not annihilating it and getting rid of it. It's still going to be around. It's just we're trying not to overwhelm the hospital systems, So I expect that all of us will get it, and a small percentage of us seem to have a really rough time, and a small percentage of those people are unfortunately passing away. But man, I'll tell you that it seems to be one of those things in life where you can't get away from disease and viruses. It's just part of living.
Sorry, I'm gonna grab my smokes here.
No, you're fine, bro. I'm still on the vape. I quit smoking it's 2 years ago almost. So
really good.
Yeah, helped out a lot. Won my freaking lawsuit stuff, so things are going well that way.
Good. I know you were battling that for years.
Well, the tough part was the 2 hurricanes that went through and destroyed the island. So all of the judicial cases were put on hold and pause as they rebuilt like the courthouse and the clerk of courts and all of those infrastructures because they were destroyed. So yeah, it's been a pain in the ass. But I'm happy because what I did was near impossible. The only way that I was able to do it is by keeping extensive note keeping, record keeping, and keeping it organized and presentable so that when the time came, which it did, they could look at it and make sense of it. And so things are good.
Good.
Aside from all that, I'm obviously not working myself because everything's fucking closed. So I decided to start the podcasting stuff. I know a lot of interesting people. I myself, came from an interesting background in foster care and such. And so I ended up interviewing a bunch of my foster brothers and people that knew us. And
that's cool.
And just telling their stories and some other interesting people that, that I know. And yeah, so, that's what it is, man. It's talking about who we are, where we came from, where we are now, and where we're possibly going. I think our past always shapes us in who we are. Interestingly so, because we don't necessarily think about that, even though it happens to us every single day we live, Yeah. But when you look back at a 10-year, you're like, wow, this, and this came together to allow me to do this, and this, and it's just an interesting, unique journey for each one of us. So this gives a 2-second look into each one of our journeys. And so I think that's kind of interesting, at least to me.
It's a great idea, man. It's a great idea.
Thanks, brother. So, where did you get your musical start? How old were you when you started playing guitar?
Oh, guitar. I didn't pick up a guitar until, I think it was my freshman year in high school. But I was taking piano lessons. I started on a piano in 3rd grade, and my piano teacher had an acoustic guitar laying around the house. And I don't know, I think when I was waiting, I would get there 10 or 15 minutes early, and she had her other student in the room. I must have picked it up and just started doodling with it. And one day she said, "Why don't you take it home?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And learned how to play. I think that was right after the Black Album came out from Metallica, and I learned how to play. What was that? Nothing Else Matters. At the beginning, open.
Sure.
Just making it sound good, and that's where it started for me on guitar. And I think it didn't take long. My mother bought me a guitar probably within 6 or 8 months, just a Fender Squire kind of a guitar, and just started there. Yeah, just sat in my room. And
so what got the metal niche into you? Obviously, acoustic's a lot different than electric. Did you just kind of go your route on the acoustic, and you're like, man, you just were drawn to the electric?
I was always drawn. Well, it's funny because I was an only child.
Sure.
So I didn't have that, a lot of metalheads always have that older brother that listened to it or whatever, and I didn't have that. I remember it was a babysitter of mine that had all these Metallica tapes and Sex Pistols and Exploited and all this punk and rock stuff, and she didn't really like it. She was getting more into The Cure and Depeche Mode, which I love that stuff too.
Oh yeah.
So she gave me Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets cassette tape, as a kid, and I just listened to the shit. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many Master of Puppets tapes I bought, because I burnt the tape out or it wrecked in the tape player.
You're showing your age, bud. Some of these kids don't even know what a cassette is, much less an 8-track.
Oh, my dad had the 8-track player hooked up to the stereo in the living room, and we had vinyl. Yeah, I'm 43 now.
I just turned 46. Yeah. When is your birthday?
February, late February.
Mine's middle of March. Well, happy belated.
Yeah,
hope I wished it to you. It's funny with Facebook. I'll see a birthday notification, and I always try to say, something.
Yeah, I think I was better at it in the first 5 years, but I mean, how long has Facebook been out now? 12 years already?
Yeah.
And I got, a couple friends, when I meet people on the road, I usually don't add people I don't know unless they're in the industry.
Right.
But like today, I think there was like 12 people that had their birthday today. It's like, oh my God, every day.
It's a little overwhelming. Yeah. You can only say happy birthday so much.
To the people I know closely, I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the weird thing about Facebook, man. It's just like, like when you were saying how far you can come in 10 years, and that's what's freaky. All of a sudden a memory will pop up from 2011 or 2012, and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I forgot, and
the one thing I do love about Facebook is, so you and I feel like we never even miss a beat. We might not see each other for a year or whatever, but when we get together, it's always the same, right? We just kindred spirits. And Facebook allows me to reach back out to you easily, not lose touch, not lose your phone number, not figure out what your new address is, not like the old days. And I can still say, hey man, how you doing? Or reach out.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a disgusting and beautiful thing at the same time.
Yeah. I look at it for the cup half full, and I try to ignore the rest, because you can definitely get lost in it, just like maybe YouTube.
Sure. There's a lot of gems on YouTube. I'm still a person, put the kids to bed, and I can lose myself 2-3 hours just watching
for sure
stuff on YouTube. It's unbelievable. Something I never thought as a kid would even exist,
One of my favorite YouTube channels / podcast are Joe Rogan's Experience. I'm not sure if you familiar. He was the Fear Factor guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He also did some comedy earlier on, I think was it MTV or something like that. But now he's a comedian / podcaster, and he's super good. He's had a lot of really, really interesting guests. So, part of that's what kind of inspired me too. I ended up mimicking his studio setup. So yeah,
right on.
Yeah. Got to make the quality of the production good. Otherwise it's no fun to listen to if it's all staticky or it sounds like crap, just like when you mix your album, you want it to sound good. So
that's the hard part, mixing. People that master albums, I give them tons of credit, man, because I don't know how a person, I feel like my ear is pretty good. My ear is very good for learning music and, hearing a riff and learning it or something. But tone is another whole thing where some of these people are so talented. They can just make an album sound amazing. And that's just a natural talent, I guess. I don't know. They probably were taught some of the facets, but that's something you must be born with.
Do you know Amy Wilson?
Not by name.
Okay. We'll talk outside of this, but she might be a good venue. She has her friend, a lot of the recording mixers from back in the day live in like the Lake Geneva area. And I was surprised by that, but she has a lot of connections because of her own past. Somebody I'm also trying to get into the podcast, actually. Yeah, but so one of her friends was the guy that produced Prince's first album, and super, super obviously talented guy. He's not autistic, but he's a savant, a musical genius. He's only 16. I'll have to send you some links because you'll be like, holy fuck. Yeah. I've been around plenty of players, and for a 16-year-old to play the way that he does is mind blowing. But she fed him because she used to be like a production manager for like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, if I remember correctly, and some other stuff. And
It's big stuff. That's pro band right there.
Yeah. But so he was always introduced to these musicians in the behind the stage kind of thing, and they were feeding him because he was interested in that, and so he's just been able to pick up. It's a great story. That's why I want to talk to her so much. But anyways, yeah, and you're absolutely right. The ear for mixing is something that I don't have it either. I've been mixing.
I'm okay with not having it. These people got up money.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And they're usually pretty, like, they're always down to earth. The ones that I've met, anyways, that have been really good. Let's see, another guy named John Stone used to be in Sean, or what was it? That the song "Runaway," run. Del Shannon. There we go. He was the keyboardist for that, and I ended up doing some sound producing and mixing and things like that. But he had a great ear too. Keyboardist, go figure. When you're mixing, I feel like if anyone's gonna like really nail mixing, it's gonna be your keyboardist.
I don't know.
They have an ear, I think, for lack of better words, for you have all those different octaves, and when you have 88 keys versus it's just interesting. So I think their ear is just more attuned to picking out some things than mine. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's get back into, we're talking about albums. What does it take to produce an album? How long does it take you, and how many do you have produced thus far?
Oh, Jungle Rot total has 10 releases, but I've only been involved with, how many is it? 6 of them. It's quite a process. I think we keep it pretty simple. I'm sure some other bands, I think the day and age with computers being easy to use and recording software being easy to use, that's changed. I think, like the Beatles or something, they would book 6 months in a studio and live there and write the album.
Right.
And now I don't think it's done like that anymore. Maybe for top level bands like the Stones or something, or I don't know, I can't even come up with an example. I really don't think anybody's doing it that way anymore. Sometimes we write an album, in our case, me and Dave, the singer of the band, I go to his house every Monday. We have a simple recording setup and a computer that's still running like Windows XP or something. But it runs clean, and there's no problems with it, and it works. That computer is only for pre-production, so we write everything on there. It's easy to hear what you're doing, like the old days, like in high school bands when you wrote a song with everybody there, and you had to, if one part in the middle of the song, it could be a 3.5 or 4 minute song, was wrong, and you have to start over and be like, no, remember we changed this, and then you get to that point again and you fucks it up again. You're like, no, we changed that, remember? Well, the computer takes that all away. You don't like something, we don't even need to re-record it. You can cut and paste, and then once you have it written, then you re-record the whole thing again. So, we'll spend a good year on that in that area. But once that's done, sometimes our demos turn out so good. They're great. The only thing is that we write with a drum machine. So, that's one thing that needs to change, of course. I don't ever want to be a drum machine band.
Right.
Well, I can't say ever, but, for us, that's not going to work. But so our demos usually don't have live drums, but I think that's going to change on this one because our drummer is he's got a little bit of a recording setup at his house in Ohio. So he's already been sending tracks of, his interpretations of what I write on the drum machine, which is awesome. So, I don't know. This is going to be a different album for us because the writing process has changed a little bit with him. But yeah, we'll spend about a year, writing maybe 15, 16 songs. And then once that demo is done, it goes quite a bit faster. We go in the studio, usually 2 weeks. Drums are tracked in 2 to 3 days. Guitars happen real fast. Vocals, it all happens real fast. Mm-hmm. And then it's a waiting game. Now you have to wait, the mastering, there's usually a long line. We have James Murphy always doing our masters now, and he's high demand. And you sit there and you wait 6 months for him to get to it. sometimes. I want to say the last album went a little faster, but and then it's all about timing. Picking a date, or you want to release an album. Hopefully it coincides with the tour, so that the agency that's booking the tour and your record label can combine finances for advertising, and there's budgets for that, and you try to time that all together so you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're dropping the album and you're hitting the road. Plus you can hit the road with a bunch of CDs to sell, a new shirt, and a whole, yeah. So I don't know. It's probably for us, it seems like we're dropping an album every 2 or 3 years. So this one might be a 3-year span. The last album came out in 2018 already. I can't believe it. And it's 2020 now, and it seems like it was yesterday.
Time goes quick, doesn't it, brother?
Yeah, it does. But we've already toured that album 5 times. So, that's what a tour cycle is. You're going to get about 5-6 tours out of an album. Mm-hmm. And it's time to move on,
Yep. The sound on the new album versus the last one, how have you evolved? What's changed? What kind of direction?
Nothing, man. We don't really change anything, man. That's why people like us. 10 albums. And
I keep hearing you say, "Keep it simple." One thing I was told when I was a kid: Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Yep. It was knocked into my head. Was that ever knocked into your head? Because I've heard you say that a few times.
I've definitely used the phrase before. It's just.
Or is it just you've learned just to keep it simple? So you've learned through experience rather than
just what we are.
That's awesome.
Other bands that aren't,
Yeah.
When I joined Jungle Rod, I knew that's what it was, and that was the formula that Dave wanted to do to get our sound, and it works because, like I said, a kid can walk home from our show remembering a couple parts of that's never seen us before. And there's bands that I go on tour with, and I'll be on the road with them for 6 weeks. And I hear the same songs every night, and 3 days later, I can't remember a fucking thing. I can't remember. Not saying they're not great and that the music isn't amazing to hear or watch be performed, but it's not memorable.
Right.
No, that's what we write. Memorable music.
Yeah. No, I feel you. How many members? Let's see. So it's you, Dave. I know that your drummer. You were going through some different drummers. I know the guy that's remoting from Ohio, I think came on a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And
years already.
And so I know that at that time you're like, I'm not sure how this comedian thing is going to work. We'll have to see. Obviously, it's working well for you. This new format of just sending the track. You send him what your idea is. He redoes it live, sends it back to you. You collaborate. Mm-hmm. Seems really efficient.
Oh, it's awesome.
Very modern.
You couldn't have pulled this shit off. A band at our level couldn't have pulled this shit off 10 years ago even.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 10 years ago you still could, but trying to send an email of a wave or 10 wave files, it was hard. Now you got all these programs, Dropbox and stuff. It just makes it so easy. Mediafire, whatever you use, it's just easy. You can actually send, I think, 10 or 100 megabytes in an email now. It's just, everything's just made so easy. So
it's definitely changed.
Mm-hmm.
The accessibility of sharing files is now efficient enough, like you said, to share larger ones, and especially especially for good audio formats, those file sizes are small. Even for the podcasts that are record, I'm looking at sometimes a half a terabyte. Mm-hmm. Just on how the default set, and then I downsample it.
Memory is not a problem for computers anymore.
Not at all. Yeah. And I use a little micro SD card, right? It's 256 gigs. 10 years ago, our little SD cards were a lot bigger.
It's funny you say that because I just bought a, what do you call it, a flash drive?
Yeah.
I think it's a 68 gigger.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I wanted to have something large, actually I just reinstalled Windows on my computer for the first time in 8 years. And I wanted to boot from Flash, and I had issues with that because my motherboard was old, but that's another whole story. But yeah, so when I went to band rehearsal on Monday, I forgot that I hadn't formatted it, so it still had the boot drive to load Windows or whatever. So I had to reformat it on the old computer that's running XP, and it didn't know that a flash drive could be 68 gigs. I formatted it at 32 gigs because it just, back then it was just unheard of.
Yeah.
A 32 gig flash drive, what Windows XP was probably like $1,000 if it existed back then. I think I paid $12 for that thing. I mean, it's unbelievable how far memory and technology has come.
So you're darn near my age. Remember when we were kids? I remember like the Commodore 64. That was only 64 megabytes for that whole memory for the computer.
I wonder what my grandfather was in the computers. I remember having a Tandy and a TRS-80.
Yeah.
Kid with a tape deck hard drive, a couple of big floppy disks. But you're right. We're talking bits of RAM. Bits, megabits, and bits.
It's come a long way. I'm kind of excited. Not that I'll probably be around for it, or but the things like your daughter's going to see, or her children will see. It's amazing. Although for all that amazing stuff, they have some really big hurdles to deal with, some big problems of the day in terms of climate change, globalization, all the other things that come along with it.
This is something.
Go ahead.
I want to almost ask you a question right now.
Yeah.
So we're at the bonfire last night, and I guess I haven't been outside in a while, because it's been a long winter here. And we're sitting outside in this bonfire, and you see this string of lights in the sky. And I was flabbergasted because I usually am on top of this kind of stuff, and I couldn't explain it. It was like 60, 70 lights in a row.
So what it is, I already know what it is.
Star, right?
So Elon Musk has started. He sent out all those satellites now to give
internet.
To everyone, and so you see them now in a line, right? And there's like 60, 70 of them. They're eventually going to be even more. He keeps putting them up, and it's going to, from what I understand, encircle the planet in a way.
I'm shocked when I saw that. One, because imagine, and I posted this on Facebook today, I was like, imagine being a person so powerful that you can change the night sky forever.
Yeah.
That is, I even right now that I'm thinking about it again, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm disgusted or religions were formed over shit like this. I mean,
right.
1,000 years ago, this guy is something fucking else, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally just put his big giant cock in the sky now. That's how I look at it, man. It's too much.
Have you ever seen him interviewed?
I haven't actually. I've read a lot about him because he's an interesting guy. I think I kind of know his upbringing. I think he started with PayPal. Mm-hmm. And he's got good idea after good idea, but I don't know if I like this.
I would say he's kind of a savant in a way, just the way that his personality is. He did a really interesting podcast on Joe Rogan Experience, and he ended up getting high with Joe because, he's, I think, located in Colorado, and so the guests come to him. So Elon Musk on pot was fucking hilarious.
I remember reading something about that because Tesla share owners were all upset about it.
Yeah.
I was like, get out of here.
And that's the thing, and so I think he tries to keep it down to earth. I think he said he has all these ideas and he just can't turn them off, even when he sleeps. It's just,
believe it.
Yeah, he was talking about
happen.
Well, and so guys like him, Joe was talking about like a sensory deprivation tank where you can go in and it literally helps to shut off some of that stuff, and maybe someone like him would find merit or some advantage to doing that. But he's definitely an interesting guy. He's got a ton of ideas. I just hope that the thing with really great ideas is, they can change the world for the better or for worse. And hopefully he's smart enough to know how to only contribute in good ways, but he seems rather ambitious. Launching his car into orbit with a,
Yeah, what was that? Roadster. What was that thing? Yeah.
Yeah, his Tesla Roadster is what it was. Yeah, like a $200,000 and some car. But
goofball. Yeah, goofball. But it's him again. But still, those lights, that's forever, man. I don't know. I think it's forever. I guess eventually those things will fall out of the sky, but
yeah,
we could get hit by an asteroid here and go into the Middle Ages, or not Middle Ages, Bronze Age again, and those fucking things will still be up there, and those people will think it's a deity or something. It's too much.
You've traveled more than I have, and I've traveled a ton. Every culture, every society, every country, when you go over, especially to Europe, they have their own religion, they have their own language, and these countries are the size of states, Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, with religion, it's a little broader than just one country. It's typically a region over there. So you have, everything from Muslims to, just Christianity. You have pagans. You have just a ton of history with religions. The Greeks with their mythology, the Babylonians,
It's a beautiful thing, man.
It is, but each one of those things were to teach their people how to get along, answer the big questions of who are we, why are we here, what's our purpose, what happens when we die, who created us, right? The big five.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people worry about it. I don't, but
no, but it becomes instead of being an acknowledged thing that's part of life's evolution, right? Is to have those types of entities or those schools of thought, But then if you go a step too far, then it becomes something that doesn't bring us together and brings us apart. And I see a lot of that kind of crap, with a lot of what's going on today. A lot of radical right-wing religious fanatics, of different sorts. And I appreciate all of them. I'm just saying that I think...
law of numbers.
Yeah.
You're always going to have... We get how many? 7 billion? How many people are on this planet? 7 billion or something?
There's 7.3 or 4, yeah.
You have some small percentages, always, of people that are serial killers and rapists and weird, just weird ideas and weird... I mean, it's a statistical inevitability, I guess. I don't know. It's you can't avoid it. It's just going to be that way, and it's only going to get worse.
Well, that wasn't really the point I was trying to make. I was trying to say it's more of, so you have this faith-based. Well, take a look at Christianity, and no offense to anyone, I grew up a Christian, but a lot of it's based on faith. So even if it doesn't make sense, or even if it doesn't, you have to believe in it because it's a faith-based faith, right? Which, if you remove your brain and your common sense and you just follow blindly, it leads you into bad places, in my experience.
You can, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of that is in that dilemma. I think if we take the good out of it and just celebrate the fact that, we have to come from somewhere, and all of us seem to have a lot that we're going through that's individually designed for us, and it's all a journey. Life is not a competition. It's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Like amongst the people that you associate band-wise and music-wise, it seems to be more of a sense of camaraderie. And once you're in, like, what can we do together, rather than this competition of let me hold you down.
That's what we hope. That's what we hope. But when the first show, you drive 10 hours to the first show and you've never played with any of the bands that are on the tour, you're hoping for that.
Yeah.
And then when you find out one of the bands ain't like that, it's always like, bummer, man. This tour could be so fun, and yet these guys got to be dicks.
Right.
Or, we can work together. Let's work together. Let's make it the best we can make it, and
well, and you said a lot of these guys have been year over year, so you know who they are at this point for the most part, unless there's somebody that's new or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And it feels like that kind of got weeded out, or you guys are pretty tight now.
As far as our band?
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about when you guys are on tour with all these guys and they're the same guys year after year. It's got to be like a family reunion. You know?
Yeah. There's a couple bands that we've toured with. Deicide is an example. I mean, they were touring with them before I joined. I mean, we must, as the band, maybe eight tours that they've done with Deicide. Of course, it's like family. We can't wait to see each other. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not always like that.
I feel you. Well, let me ask a couple more things, and we'll let you go on this.
Right.
Where are you headed? What's in the platter for you this year? Now, obviously, you told me you're going to be working on the new album.
That's the main focus for us right now.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything you want to share?
Well, I think what we're going to do is finish this garage here. You can see this needs to get done.
Fuck yeah, brother.
So, I mean, we got time for that, I guess the goal this year is to stay healthy. I mean, stay healthy. I'm gonna stay productive with the band, getting this album done. Other than that, it's kind of just like a waiting game here. You can't really make any plans this year, can you? I don't know. I just want to go back to work. I want to get back to bartending and cooking and.
You just brought up something I was going to ask, and I totally forgot. What is it like to be a rocker and then be a bartender and kicking it? It's almost like you live a double life. You're like Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, bartending is a great thing for me because I'm outgoing and I like giving people shit, and bar is a perfect place to do it, and a bartender's a perfect avenue to get that out of my system. But bartending is kind of that cool job where you get to know people and have fun, and I mean, it's pretty rare when bartending that you have a crap day at work. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Most of the time, maybe it's where I work. My boss is great.
But most people don't think of like Zakk Wylde on his downtime serving, slinging drinks as a bartender. Like if I knew that,
Lemmy did that too.
If I knew that, I'd be at that bar. So I'm sure you have some friends too that love your music. Be like, oh my god, I can't believe he's bartending there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Not too much, but yeah, there are some people that come in for it, but very rarely. I mean, that's the nice thing about being in Sheboygan here, and there's not a lot of people that really follow the band.
Right. Well,
but every once in a while, someone will bring in a CD or something. Can you sign it? And I'm like, well, hell yeah, I guess.
Heck yeah, man. I just think it's cool. It's awesome that you have the different facets that you do. You're a father. You're a businessman. You do a little bit of trading. We were talking about that the other day.
I've been off the stock market. I watch that shit every day now. Get ready to buy the airline stocks. You get ready. Boeing had their thing fall out today with Brazil. I mean, next week is awesome. Google's doing earnings reports. Next week is going to be fucking awesome in the stock market. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've actually been trading options, puts, calls, doing that shit, just goofing around with it, not any really serious money, just kind of dabbling in it and trying to make good decisions and get that percentage up. And
right.
It's more of a game for me. I don't have any real money in there.
But regardless, it's fun. And if you get good at it.
I'm addicted to it, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, man. I wake up in the morning, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's one of the things I appreciate about you, buddy. You get a good brain.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
So, hey, man, it's fun. So you're multifaceted. You are interesting, and you are intelligent. So all those things come together and form this awesome person that is Geoff Bub.
Oh,
and
thanks,
yeah, I've known you for 8 years.
Yeah, I'd say about 8, yeah.
So I just know that I consider you one of my good friends, and I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate our talks. You definitely, you're on the same page, brother. I'm so glad that people like you and I, especially in a little town called Sheboygan, can get together and talk and maintain our sanity. So I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast, man. And
it was fun.
Yeah, I wish you the best and success in this new album. And that garage, by the way, looks flipping huge.
It's ginormous. Yeah, it's 2 cars.
Yeah, brother.
Get the dartboard in here and get it.
Did you get a new vehicle?
I'm driving. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not doing the video on this. You can show me if you want.
Oh, you're not doing the video?
No, I'm just doing the voice.
What do I got here? What do you remember? I had the black. No, I've had the Honda for a while. I got the.
Oh yeah. She's pretty. She's still looking good.
She's good to me. I miss a V8. I'm not going to lie. I like V8s. I don't know.
That'll be your next car, brother.
Well, now that I have this garage, I've dabbled the thought. I've never really thought about building a car, but now I daydream about it. I'd like to get, you can buy an LS1 V8 from Chevy for nothing nowadays. I always wanted my first car when I was, my first car I bought, my mom bought it for me. I think I paid $500 for it. It was a 1972 Datsun 240Z.
Oh, yeah.
and it was that burnt
A little
orange
2-door, right?
4-speed. Yeah, it was super long hood.
Yep.
And you can fit that LS1 in that car. So I've always thought about building just to have that car that I had as a kid. Get one of those burnt orange Datsuns, no engine, drop a LS1 in it.
So my 350Z, you saw that, right? I still got my Nissan Xterra, the one that I redid. The 350 I had to sell, but with the lawsuit that I just won, I'm currently waiting on them to figure out numbers and pay me out.
Okay.
But I've been thinking about the new 2020 mid-engine Corvette.
Oh, I'm sure it's a beast.
Just because
I haven't seen one in real life yet, but it looks like a beast.
They're really pretty.
That's a little bit out of my price range.
No,
but, wouldn't mind one. I wouldn't mind
they're
one.
not 100. They're not like six figures. I think they start out at like around 65 to 80 or something like that. So I don't know. I
would give it a couple of years. You know how there's always going to be problems with the first. I'd give it 2 years.
I thought that maybe like that first year though would probably be more collectible, just because it's the first year they switch. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not a car collector, so I don't know. You'd have to ask someone in that, but you know how it is. Like with that Impala I had, that SS Impala. It was the first year that they made that, and there were so many glitches with that thing. And they
depreciate so much after they get off the lot. But I figured this way I could customize it the way I want it. You know what I mean? The type of colors and interior and that kind of thing.
Cool, man.
I've never purchased a new car, and I figure with the things that I'm looking at, I can definitely afford to do that. So why not just not get crazy? But
I think you should take that money and buy airline stocks. And then you could buy 4 of them.
Oh, I'm going to terminate this. Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you well. Hold on.